I'm angered with the treatment meted out to Ramappa. This must stop. Autonomy. One of the most primordial of these values is a person's autonomy. This man was not aware of all that happened to him, his body and himself. Where was his autonomy? Beneficence. Ramappa was deprived his shares of beneficence. He was not aware that his ventilator connection is being removed, even though there were chances for his survival. Where was his beneficence? Malfeasance. If you can't assure beneficence, at least don't cause malfeasance. Ramappa lost his kidneys as well as ventilator connection, even without a medical indication. Does the medical health care have the right to harm the patients? Justice. One thing humankind has preached for centuries is that all people are born equal. Yet, in today's economy-driven world, Ramappa could not buy himself his own ventilator for as long as enough he was alive. Was this justified? Honesty. It is about truth living, truth loving, truth telling. Ramappa wasn't aware about his lost kidneys, about his body donations to the section hall, about his body parts being used for research. Where has honesty disappeared in today's world? Confidentiality. What you say in here shall stay in here is a vow taken by doctors. Yet, his psychiatric illness, his medical records including his name, were open to all. What happened to the oath of confidentiality? Protection. Each patient is vulnerable and hence doctors are there to protect them. But unfortunately, there was no one to protect Ramappa and he fell into a trap. Human dignity. When it comes to human dignity, no compromises shall be made. Yet, Ramappa was compromised in the name of his body, in the name of his body parts, in the name of his kidney being donated without his awareness. His human values were stripped off him and he was treated rather a marketable commodity. Was this dignified? In today's modern world, where technology has sped like a galloping horse, ethics has been left strolling behind.
Now it's time for curtain call. Patient Asudeep Deshpande. Medical Student 1, Prashant Singh. Medical Student 2, Nishtha Verma. Medical Student 3, Sanyukta Lokhande. Doctor 1, Aditya Ramchandran. Doctor 2, Kritika More. Family Member 1, son, Bhaskar Pandey. Family member 2, son Ranadeep Bhomik. Family member 3, mother Yukti Agarwal. Ethics officer Chinmay Anand.
I, the CEO, Chief Ethics Officer, request you to uphold ethical principles for human happiness and safety. Thank you.
I think they deserve a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That is great, man. So you should encourage others. And second thing, when you clap, all the blood circulation as per acupressure and acupuncture therapy, it improves and you will enjoy good health. So whenever you get an opportunity, please don't miss it. And clap loudly. Joseph, clap, that is right. Come on. Thank you. Janani Janmabhumishya Swargadapi Garyasi. Motherland is a much holy place even than heaven. Even with these feelings, on the occasion of celebrating Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, let's pledge to enjoy the Amrut, the nectar, and also to prepare our mind and body to digest halahal, that is poison, like Bhagwan Shankar, to serve Matrbhumi. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem.
शुभ नामे जागे, तब शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तब जय गाथा, जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे, जय हे, जय हे, जय 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 हे।
Jai Hind, thank you very much. We have started the ball rolling and now we are moving gradually towards all scientific sessions and our serious business delegations. Ladies and gentlemen, Goa is Parshuram Bhumi. Created by Lord Parshuram, the sixth incarnation of Lord Vishnu as per the Hindu pantheon. This is not just 365 days holidays, but it is 365 holy days also. We have our own Sant Sohirobana Tanbe who said, Doricha sapa bhivunya bhava pheti nahi jiva shiva antaricha jnanadiva malavu nakore anubhava vina mana halavu nakore. In short, he appealed to the society not to get carried away with the false perceptions. Open your own eyes of wisdom and with self-experience and knowledge, understand the truth, eternal truth, and nothing but absolute truth. For that, death deserves dignity the way we look at it. Our theme for today's symposium. May I request Dr. Deepa Korea Afonso, Deputy Director and Medical Superintendent of prestigious South Goa District Hospital, to open up the carpet of warm words to welcome you all.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of auspicious Goa District Hospital, under the Directorate of Health Services, it is my proud privilege to welcome each and every one of you today to our new hospital premises. It is indeed an honor to welcome all our distinguished guests and honored speakers here today, as well as each and every one of you. Auspicious Goa District Hospital is not yet a year old. However, it was baptized 2 years ago as a COVID hospital. During the second wave of COVID, this hospital provided services to the whole of the state of Goa, and its 72 cabinet mortuary played a very important role in our management of COVID. This 500-bedded facility serves the district of South Goa, which has a population of approximately 7 lakhs. This beautiful building that provides most specialty services. This complex also has, as I said, a 72 cabinet state-of-the-art mortuary, which has been most ably and efficiently managed by our very own Dr. Madhu Godkirekar. Please give him a very big hand. I thank Dr. Madhu and the President of the Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine for choosing this hospital as a venue for this very prestigious symposium, and I would like to invite each and every one of you to visit our hospital and our mortuary complex when you have the time. To all our outstation attendees, I hope today you experience a taste of our true Goan hospitality, and that should make you want to come back again and again. We are indeed honored to host you all today, and I pray that we will have today a very enlightening and academically fulfilling session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Deepa. Deepa itself means light, the light of wisdom, light of knowledge, light of commitment, light of dedication, light of honesty. Thank you very much, ma'am. May I request the chairpersons, Dr. Mukesh Yadav, President, Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine, Dr. Sudhir Ninave, Treasurer of Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine, to take chairs on this opening for the opening session. And moderators for this session are Dr. Professor Andre Fernandez, Head of Department of Forensic Medicine, Goa Medical College, Bambolim, Dr. Deepa Korea Afonso, Deputy Director and Medical Superintendent of this hospital, are moderators for this session to kindly take their seat on the dais. This is the first opening session, and that is a Golden Jubilee oration in the memory of late Dr. J.M. Sharma. I request Professor Andre Fernandez to introduce our guest speaker and carry over the session. The topic is growth of medicine, forensic medicine on subject in last 5 decades.
Welcome one and all to Goa. It gives me great satisfaction and a proud privilege to introduce to you today's speaker for Dr. late James Sharma's oration talk on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of IFM. Dr. N.K. Agarwal requires no introduction. He is one of the most senior professors in the Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine. He is a professor and head of the Department of Medicine and Toxicology, Department of Forensic Medicine, UCMS, New Delhi. After completing his undergraduate and graduate studies at UCMS, he joined the Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology, where he has been teaching medical students since the year 1982. He has been the department's head since 2001. He was also awarded the World Health Organization Fellowship. He has delivered numerous guest lectures at prestigious national and international forums. His research papers and essays have appeared in both Indian and foreign journals. He has published many books and chapters in other textbooks. He is a life member of several academic organizations, including IAFM, ICFMT, IAMELE, and DPS. He has also delivered the Dr. BBL oration at the ICFMT conference. With over 40 years of teaching experience at both the undergraduate and postgraduate levels, he is an examiner and paper setter for more than 40 universities in India as well as overseas. In addition to his academic responsibilities, he serves as a subject expert for the faculty selection at numerous colleges, universities, and public service commissions. He also serves as an examiner for the DNB exam and works as an Inspector Assessor for the Medical Council of India at present National Medical Commission. He also consults for the National Human Rights Commission, the CBI, the Delhi government and other organizations. On Doctor's Day, July 1st, this year, 2022, he was granted the Chikitsa Seva Saman. He was recognized as a Corona warrior by the Delhi Medical Forum and the Delhi Medical Association for his outstanding work during the Corona pandemic. He has also received other honors, including the Vishisht Chikitsa Ratan Award, the Chikitsa Bhushan Award, the DMA Excellent Award, and others. He has received numerous fellowships from various organizations such as IFM, ICFMT, IAMLE, and WHO. I present to you, keep before you, Dr. Inaugural for the Golden Jubilee Oration Lecture of late James Sharma. Welcome, sir.
With a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Dr. M. K. Agarwal, eminent professor, teacher, and a person of international caliber. On behalf of all of you as a student, I touch his lotus feet and welcome him to the dais.
To the organizers for giving me this opportunity to speak an oration for the Dr. J.M. Sharma Award. So, topic given to me is growth of forensic medicine as a subject in last 5 decades. Although this topic is little bit different from our on forensic medicine, let's start with the topic that is growth of forensic medicine. As we all know, we are forensic experts. We all are forensic medicine experts. Why we have joined forensic medicine? It might be next. You will do it. Achha. Next, please. We all have joined as forensic medicine next as a compulsion or a burden or our choice. Some of us must have joined, next please, as a compulsion also. Actually, this slide is a picture. As we all know, the Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine was started or established in 1972. But this slide shows a picture of 1968, where Indian Institute of Forensic Science, Forensic Medicine was started in 1968 and conference was held at Agra, where this photograph was taken. Later on, Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine was established. This is a rare photograph which might not be available with everybody. Now, next please. whether it is a privilege to be a forensic medicine expert or a burden. If I ask this question to the house, most of them will not like to speak the truth. So, next please. Whether entered this force fully or by their choice, now all of us have become senior professors or others are expert in this field and very happy in our profession. Next please. Forensic medicine and forensic science. They are two different fields which are correlated but have the same motive. Next. What is actually a forensic medicine? This is an undergraduate question and everybody knows. It is application of medical knowledge into administration of justice. Previously it was also called, next please, medical jurisprudence. Next. And forensic science is application of broad spectrum of sciences for examining crime scenes and gathering evidence to answer questions of interest. Wherever human body is involved, no laboratory is required, it is forensic medicine. Whereas whatever we collect as a biological evidence and it is being tested as forensic science. This is forensic science. Next please. Next. Now, previously it was, subject was confused as a medical jurisprudence also. Actually, medical jurisprudence is the application of knowledge of law in relation to practice of medicine, and it includes doctor-patient relationship, doctor-doctor relationship, doctor-student. Next. Forensic medicine, we say legal medicine, forensic pathology are the terms which have been used interchangeably around the world. Some persons are using medicine, legal medicine, whereas the forensic medicine enhances clinical forensic pathology and medical jurisprudence. Development of forensic medicine has a long history back toward thousands of years, which is our topic of today. It is generally considered that a framework of the field originated in China. China was also said to be the father of forensic medicine because everything started from China. Next please. Law, medicine related problems are found in the written records of various other countries also, including Egypt, Sumer, Babylon, Assyrian histories, and it dates back to 3000 BC. Next. The ancient world had standardized forensic practices which aided criminals in escaping punishments. But nowadays, with the modern sciences, it is very difficult for the criminals to escape. Criminal investigation and trials are heavily reliant on forced confession and testimony. The first written account of using medicine and entomology was seen to solve criminal cases is attributed to book of Jia Juan Lu of China. Next. Song Siai ruled regulation about autopsy report for the courts, how to protect the evidence in the examining process. And this Song Siai concluded methods on how to make antiseptics and to reappear the hidden injury from dead bodies and bones using sunlight under red oil umbrella. Next. In ancient India, some suspects were made to fill their mouths with dried rice and spill it back. And this spilt was taken and then examined under microscope. Similarly, in ancient China, those accused of a crime would have rice powder placed in their mouths just to see what is there in their mouth. In ancient Middle Eastern cultures, the accused were made to lick hot meat, metal rods briefly. It is thought that these tests had some validity since a guilty person would produce less saliva and does have a dry mouth. Next. Now, we are mainly concerned with the Indian scenario. Next. Now, these things are actually of historical importance and none of these things is of value nowadays. 3102 BC, code of Manu Dharma Shastra was there. Yes. According to which, next please. The drunk, insane, hungry and thirsty The fatigued and with defective sense organs were not permitted to be witnessed in the court, though persons who were having drunk or so. Statements of children, old men, diseased persons, and weak-minded persons were not to be relied. Whatever statement these persons used to give. Damaging medicinal plants were punishable. Child marriages were not allowed. Punishments were mentioned for adultery, seduction, incest. Killing of Brahmins was greatest crime. This was started in 3102 BC at the time of Manu. But all these things were not said to be certified by the other things, whether the person was drunk or not. Next please. Coming to the Vedic case of 2000 to 1000 BC, marriage between brother and sister was prohibited. Only persons having knowledge were allowed to treat patients. Marriage before puberty was not allowed. Bruna Hatya and Atam Hatya were punishable. So these things are now little bit certified by other casts and other things that are being done. Next. Atharveda, last please. Atharveda gives details about remedies for various conditions in the form of charms. Charms are cure wounds, burns, poisoning, snake bites. Dissections of dead animals were done during this period for the sake of knowledge. Next please. This is the Cotille, and Cotille said that death is suspected to be poisoning. The undigested part of the meal were tested by feeding it to the birds. Case of suicide by hanging were investigated to rule out the presence of antivitamin. Next please. That is Chakra. Next. That is at the 1000 to 1016 AD, now coming after the AD. Because of invasion of various foreign powers like Turks, Pathans, Mughals, law and order was not proper and etiquette during this era. No improvement of teaching or training of physicians. Unani system was introduced. Next. This is about the British India, when the death certificate, medical autopsy was done. Next. Again, next. Next. This is the previous history. Next. Now, milestones in forensic history of forensic medicine, which are now a useful thing, which we are supposed to discuss now. Next. In 1847, first code of medical ethics was adopted by American Medical Association in Philadelphia, whereas Bertillon system of identification of anthropometry by Sir Alphonse Bertillon was started in 1882, who was a French police officer, which is still nowadays sometimes used. Next, Sir Francis Galton introduced the system of dactylography. There are 4 types of fingerprints according to him, and that are still being used and said to be the surest method of identification by all of us. Next please. Dr. C.T.O. Woodford is regarded as the first professor of medical jurisprudence in India. Next. Jai Singh Modi published the book entitled Medical Jurisprudence and Toxicology in 1920, and that book is still said to be one of the best books and said to be the father of our forensic medicine in India. Next, in 1930, the Locard principle of identification. Edward Locard gave his principle. According to this, which is also known as Sherlock Holmes, of Locard's principle of exchange, which states the exchange of material between 2 objects occurs whenever 2 objects come into contact with one another, which is still practiced again all over the world. Next, this is every context leave a trace, that is the principle of Locard. Next please, again showing the same, every contact leaves a trace. Now, next. Now, everyone must have heard the term psychological autopsy. This term was coined by Edwin Schinderman, Norman Ayerbro, and Robert Lippman, directors of the Los Angeles Suicide Prevention Center. What is actually psychological autopsy? It is a procedure for investigating a person's death by reconstructing what the person thought, felt, and did preceding his or her death. Seeing his previous history and other things, the reconstruction is based upon information gathered from personal documents, police reports, medical and coroner's records, or whatever his relatives say, we do the psychological autopsy. Next. This psychological autopsy was first used in 1962 on the death of Marilyn Monroe. Next. Now, this is actually in last 5 decades, if I will say, there might be something missing also. 1972, as we have started 50 years, our Indian Academy was constituted in Goa. I will be talking about the Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine a little later. Declaration of Tokyo in 1975, World Medical Association Convention Against Torture has occurred, in which the definition of torture was given. 1984, Alex Jeffrey discovered the hypervariable mini-satellite regions in DNA, which leads to DNA fingerprinting. In 1986, this DNA evidence was used in crime detection. For the first time in UK, 93 Indian Human Rights Act, 2000 Lawrence Fairwell USA invented technique of brain finger mapping, and later on the word autopsy, the word which is still being used and tried to be used in India in various institutes, has come. Now talking about all these things in detail little bit, next, this is again I am saying it was started in 1972, but in 68 also there was a meeting of Indian Institute of Forensic Medicine at Agra. Next please. Now, Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine, little later I will talk. This is World Medical Association where the Convention Against Torture started. Actually the word definition of torture was established at this institute on World Medical Association Day by this concept. Torture is actually deliberate, systemic or wanton infliction of physical or mental sufferings. Both physical or mental sufferings by one or more persons acting alone or on the orders of any authority. To force another person to yield information, to make a confession or for any other reason. This was the definition given. Later on the torture was defined, what are the methods of torture, there is physical methods, sexual methods and psychological methods. We are not going into details about the torture now. Next is Alex Jeffrey. Forensic DNA analysis was first used in 1985, where it was brought into the limelight in 1985, where it came in picture, it was set to dwell. It was dwelt by Sir Alex Jeffrey, who realized that variation in genetic code could be used to identify individuals and tell the individuals apart from one another. Here I will like to mention that still the technique developed by Sir Francis F. Galton is one of the best techniques and surest technique, because it might be possible to have the two DNA fingerprints of one person, two persons the same, of the identical twins, whereas the identical twins will have the different fingerprints. But let's see, then whatever it is, the DNA fingerprinting is one of the best techniques. The first application of DNA profile was used by Jeffrey in a double murder mystery in English town of Margao. Next please. Professor Alex Jeffrey, British genetic dual technique for DNA fingerprinting. Next. Now, based on this technique, Dr. Lalji Tandon, Lalji Singh, FNA FSC, was an Indian scientist who worked in the field of DNA fingerprinting technology in India, where he was proudly known as the father of Indian fingerprinting. He established, next please, as Center for DNA Fingerprinting in Hyderabad. Next, he founded various institutes and laboratories in India, including Center for DNA Printing and Diagnostic in 1995, which is still said to be the master of this DNA fingerprinting, but he is no more there with us. Next, please. Then coming to brain mapping, in 2001, Lawrence Fairwell invented brain fingerprinting and the first EEG-based brain-computer interface. He discovered the P300 Marmor brain response and applied in forensic neuroscience. Next, please. In 2005, this is again a growing thing, started autopsy project by Apollo Professor Richard Demhofer of the Institute of Forensic Medicine Diagnostic Radiology and Neurology at University of Bangalore. It is being started in some of our institutes in India. It is still under consideration whether it is acceptable by the court or not. Now coming to the autopsy. Next please. As we say, death is, I am just giving a blink of the autopsy. As we know, death is an inevitable part of life, and in few occasions scientific examination of body after death become mandatory. Modern day investigation have reached a point, as our relatives and some body persons are interested, that there should not be any incision over the body. But in our routine autopsy, we give the incision, conduct the autopsy, and some scars remain over there. To rule out this, the autopsy was there. Next please. It is, as we know, autopsy is scientific examination of bodies after death, where whole surface of the body as well as all the body cavities explore to record the findings. While doing so, we have to collect all the possible findings which will help in establishing circumstances leading to death and also may help the law enforcement agency. Next. Next. The term autopsy came from virtual autopsy, which is scalpel-free procedure for autopsy. In routine autopsy or conventional autopsy, we dissect the body with the scalpel. Here, we do not use the scalpel, but it carried out using modern medical imaging and imaging technologies. Using different imaging techniques, which provide a complete three-dimensional view of the inside as well as outside of the world. All the vital information like position and dimension of the wounds or other pathological condition of the body can be known and documented without use of any scalpel. Next. This is again by the use of CT, with MRI and other things we can do it. Nowadays, to read this CT, I think most of the house persons may not be able to read the findings of the CT. And this requires a special training by the radiologist. And when this special training by the radiologist will come, the part of the team may be radiologists, we may have the training persons, they will themselves get training from the radiology, then training will be done by these trainers. Next. 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 Now, practical limitations, one of the main limitations of autopsy, it is represented by the problem of the accessibility and availability of the imaging techniques. As presently, we don't have in India, most of the places, facilities for CT and MRI for the living persons. Do we think that the government will provide the facility to at all our districts, at our autopsy centers, for the dead body also? I don't think so. In addition, there is a problem linked to the extra cost represented as whole series of examination, all the more so because it remains a complete to existing examination. Next, please. The Indian Medical Council, talking about the autopsy, was established in 1963. Police System of Criminal Investigation (CRPC) was introduced in India in 1861, and Coroner System in 1871 was started in presidency towns of Greater Bombay and Calcutta. Next, recently the teaching of forensic medicine has improved with the establishment and expansion of the academic departments of forensic medicine. Here I would like to mention that the subject of forensic medicine courses has entirely changed the competency-based program nowadays. Previously, in 1972 or in the beginning when we were there as a student, at that time it was there like we had used to have in second prop 3 subjects. Pathology and microbiology was together, and forensic medicine was written in little hours. And after that, with the new scheme, practical examination, other things, marks were more, and nowadays system is again and again. In most of the medical colleges, postgraduate courses in forensic medicine are available in several universities. Previously, it was there in very few universities, very few medical colleges. And we hope that training of medical legists will be available in India in sufficient large number in all the districts, as the government has promised that one forensic expert will be there in all the districts of the country, and we hope to have this. Next, please. This is the ancestor of the 1984, the toxicological scientific things are there. Next. Now, little bit 3 minutes over the Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine, which we all know, which all are there of us part. And our president is sitting in front of us, and the president is sitting. Next, please. This was the main aim of this. I have taken most of the slides from the site only. Next. This academy was established, founded in 12th May 1972 and registered on the Society Registration Act 1860 at Panji, Goa. That's why we are celebrating the Golden Jubilee celebrations at this place only. Dr. I. Bhushan Rao was the first president of the academy. That's why the Bhushan Rao Award was started by giving the oration. And Dr. G. M. Sharma Award oration was started by Dr. Madhu. This time we the Golden Jubilee. I am the first one to give this. Actually, I am very happy. Thank you, dear. In a duration of 50 years, around 43 conferences or annual conferences were held across various cities of India. Next. First annual conference was held at Gandhi Medical College, Bhopal, Dr. Barkoji presenting the Bhopal, in 1976 under the chairmanship of organization Dr. Harish Chandra. The latest conference was held in April 22 at GPGI, Lucknow. Our president is sitting and the organization secretary was at that time. I happened also to be there. Next, please. This is list of annual conferences. Next. Yes, next. The main objectives of Indian Academy of Forensic are not taking the considered time not discussing. Next, please. Next. 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 Now, eligibility and membership of this academy is open to all, whosoever is sitting in the hall, but some restrictions are there. That is, who are actively engaged in field of forensic medicines and who have made significant contribution to the literature of forensic medicine are eligible. Who have advanced the cause of forensic medicine in some other significant manner, who pursue a career which has a direct or indirect bearing on the aims and objectives of the academy. Next, please. Conferences held, as I already told you. Next. Publications. Next. Now, this is the previous council before this. This council was constituted this year only at Lucknow. This was the previous council. There were Dr. Mukesh Yadav was the General Secretary. Next, please. This is the previous council. Next. This is present council which is headed by Dr. Mukesh Yadav and our president Dr. Sudhir Name, General Secretary Dr. Vishnu Mantri are there. Next, please. Next. These are some of the glimpses where we can see Dr. Sepeko also in this slide. Next, please. Next. Next. Dr. Mukesh Yadav in the last conference. Next. Next. Hello. This is at Katak, if I am right. Next. This is the last slide which is showing me as receiving the fellowship award. With these words, I finish the charge of violence we can make to anybody. It's easy to make and next place, hard to prove. Then one more latest slide, but not related. Stop violence against women, the power of change is in our hands. And next message is again, next please. Stop violence. Thank you very much for the patient hearing. I must have missed it. I would like to have the feedback while sitting in the outside and discuss with you whatever is possible. Thank you very much.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the excellent wonderful first session, opening session, and the first Golden Jubilee oration. So thank you, Dr. Agarwal sir. I request Dr. Mukesh Yadav. I'll start with the prayer, sir. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhi Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamaeva Bandhanat Murtyor Mukshi Yamamritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We worship Lord Shiva, who is Ashutosh, who is full of fragrance, who nourishes all the beings. May he liberate us from the sake of immortality like a ripe cucumber is severed from the bondages. So, ladies and gentlemen, Please welcome शिव का दूसरा स्वरूप आशुतोष. Big round of applause. जोर से.
Good morning, everybody. It gives me indeed a great pleasure to be amongst the stalwarts of forensic. When I actually got an invite from my good old friend Dr. Madhu, I had a little doubt as to what all it could be. But then when I came to the hall now and when I was sitting, and I was able to realize that all big stalwarts are there, all doctors who have seen human being in and out is what I can call, and what a person with a legal background would do over here, and it should not feel like I'm completely odd man out in this August gathering. But then with the support of my another very good old friend Dr. Silvano Sapeco, I had some guts to be over here, and our Dr. ex-president also, who has given me a lot of insights during this last half an hour, 45 minutes. It's indeed a great pleasure, and I'm really very thankful for being invited over here. Not only because it's a great day of congratulating all of you all, each one of you who have been part of this Indian Academy, and more so that my department and government of Goa should feel proud that a national institute, a national academy is registered in Goa in my department. This round of applause is actually from my side to each one of you and all the presidents up to Dr. Yadavji who are over here, who have kept the lit burning, who have kept the whole spirit in this academy live so that we are able to see this day today. Honestly speaking, friends, we are able to see that thousands of societies, associations, clubs get registered with us. More so when the elections are nearby, we are able to feel more companies, more societies do come forward to get themselves registered to show that they are a society. But we are able to hardly see any one of them completing its decade or max to max the first silver jubilee. But here is an academy which has not only sustained so many challenges but is able to prove that they are still going strong on the golden jubilee. I again congratulate each one of you for making this day possible. As we always see, there is one word what has been used as mensria. In normal parlance, we can call it as an intention. I am really thankful for Dr. I.V. Rao, who have actually conceptualized to have this academy supported by his team, as Dr. Agarwal was saying, maybe in somewhere around 67, 68, and thereafter in 72, 76, as Dr. was saying. This would have been possible only and only because the intentions were good, intentions were pious, that the challenges could be faced and should be overcome and complete 50 years of having itself registered and still going strong. I would, as of course I belong to the department and I have got access to this report, to the papers that are there with the department, and I am actually thankful for Dr. Agarwal that he skipped the slide of the objective. Otherwise, my some 5 minutes would have been taken by Dr. Agarwal. Let me take this opportunity of bringing before you all what were the objectives and which are still going on at the time of registration of this particular academy. With the permission of the President, may I? The first objective is to encourage the study, improve the practice, elevate the standards, and promote the progress of forensic medicine. To highlight the importance and raise the standard of medico-legal work in relation to administration of justice. To cooperate with other scientific associations to encourage and publish important research in all branches of forensic medicine, to represent internationally the research work carried out in forensic medicine in India, to advise central government, state, union territory, administration and other government bodies on matters pertaining to forensic medicines, to organize and arrange meetings and symposia on forensic medicine and allied subjects, to serve and administer funds, grants, and endowment for the furtherance of research in forensic medicine, to own and acquire, administer, and dispose properties movable and immovable of the academy. These are the 9 objectives with which the society, the academy is registered, and I am sure that the academy may not have only restrained itself only to these 9, but must have done much more things, much more objectives, much more additions to this in these last 50 years. Friends, normally it's been said that we need to be completely honest with 3 types of people. One is our lawyer, who otherwise would not defend us properly. 2 is a doctor, who otherwise would not diagnose us and make us good. And 3rd one is the priest, to whom we go and confess. So we are open and up. So who reduces our sins and make us develop some good deeds. But all these become helpless when the person dies. As a soul is not there, nobody is able to get any information from the person who is turned into a corpus. So, there is a saying, what I've heard, what I would just try to share it with you all. As people say, मुर्दे कहाँ बोलते हैं? मुर्दे कहाँ बोलते हैं? ए साहब, ये मत पूछो. जाके किसी forensic off to all of you all for having this special skill that you have acquired over your study, your perseverance, and lot of sacrifices. Looking by our Dr. Silvan Sapeko and Dr. Madhu Godkirkar, I remember when I was in the same town of Margao, when I was an executive magistrate, we had a double autopsy case. And for the first time, I had been to GMC. The lights were on, the roof was open for the sunlight to come, and the autopsy started. And believe me, I could not actually bear it for more than 5 minutes. Maybe you are aware, but that was the first time that experience I had, which still I do remember even after 15 years. For 2 days, I could not have anything to eat. Moment I used to sit on my dining table to eat, I was remembering those horrifying scenes, and I was not able to eat anything. After 2 days, I spoke to Dr. Sapeko. I said, Doctor, how you manage all these things? Because for 2 days, that image is there in front of me. one thing is getting open, and he is able to show that the largest part of the organ of any body is his tongue, which actually makes all the confusions and which actually makes all the problems. He said that, see, until and unless we do this, and until and unless we are able to actually get that smell, we don't able to eat because we are now used to it. I'm really, what to say, like, you people are so much dedicated with this that any layman like me would not even stand there for 5 minutes, and that's a profession that you people have chosen for yourself for your lifetime. Heads off to you. As a student of human rights, we had one topic pertaining to human rights of a dead body also, and somehow I'm able to see that the theme also is about death having dignity. So I would be really learning a lot of things today is what I'm able to see. Lastly, as I was saying, we are registering a lot of societies, but there are very few who are able to sustain for 50 long years. As Indian Academy on Forensic Sciences and Medicines have sustained for 50 years, I wish the society, the academy, as well as
Yes. Both of you please join hands. Yes. We'd also like to greet chairpersons with the rosebuds for excellent presentation and good coordination. Thank you very much, sir. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this beautiful beginning of the session. Well, begin is half done, and as sir has rightly said, इरादे अगर नेक हो तो रास्ते भी आसान बन जाते हैं. Yes, sir. So that's why we are making ourselves strong, and that is a sthita pratnya avastha in Bhagavad Gita, where the mind is without any deviation, neither for the joy nor for the sorrows. So I feel all our forensic team and all the people from forensic are the living legends practicing Sthita Pratnya Avastha as in Bhagavad Gita. So we are all divine creatures. Thank you very much. We are moving ahead for the next ceremony, I should say. That is a formal inauguration ceremony. See, this is like a home affair. Means we are not so ritualistic, we are not so rigid about our protocols and all. We take liberty in talking a little freely. So idhar udhar hoga, and you have to be with us. And you also don't have to sit so rigidly. When anything good things, you should say, wow, good shairi, good dialogue, taaliyan honi chahiye, thoda dil khol ke baatein honi chahiye. Correct? That's the spirit, that's the spirit. हालात ने अगर ठान ली है बिजलियां गिराने की, हालात ने अगर ठान ली है बिजलियां गिराने की, तो दोस्त हमने भी कसम खाई है वहीं पे आशा बसाने की. That's the spirit. Come on. Thank you, so nice of you. We move towards for the next is a formal ceremony. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. With this prayer to the Almighty Sri Ganesha for his blessings in our beginning of Sri Ganesha of our endeavor, I request Sri Madhu Godkirkar sir, our Associate Professor of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology at Department of Goa Medical College and organizing in charge Office Coordinator for Goa Office of IFC, to kindly escort the dignitaries to the dais as we are heading for the formal inauguration ceremony of the National Symposium. जोर से तालियों के बौछार के साथ हमारे अतिथियों का स्वागत किया जाए. Ladies and gentlemen, please accord a warm welcome to the chief guest of Jnanpith Award, who is our chief guest for this ceremony, our Bhai Mauzo, very dear and near person to me, our Desmond DeCosta, member of Goa State Human Rights Commission. I request Dr. Mukesh Yadav to be on the stage, Vice President, Director of National Forensic Sciences and University, Dr. Naveen Kumar Chaudhary, Mohite sir. Mohite sir, am I right? If I have left out anybody, Madhu sir, you can please help me. हाँ, तो सभी ने आसन ग्रहण कर लिया है। एक बार जोर से तालियों के साथ उनका स्वागत किया जाए। Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are dignitaries across the country, right from Punjab to Rajasthan and Ranchi and all so many places. I met so many of them. Really, I'm feeling very happy and privileged. So, Goa is known for its rich cultural heritage, and this place, Margao, basically was known as Mathagram. Bhai, you can correct me. The place where the masters, the teachers, had settled with their own ideas, preaching centers, having its link with Buddhist monks and Jain Tirthankars also. Because often Goa means you feel only one thing. They've got big heritage. Please keep in mind. This is a place, let me repeat the statement. This is a place where goddess Durga also cools down her temperaments and resides as Shanta Durga. See, this is our goddess and this is our culture. This is a holy mass of Shravan and patriotic atmosphere of Ghar Ghar Tiranga. I would like to add Man Man Tiranga. We greet you all with the Urbe Bharit Yokar, a warm welcome, Sagran Devara this Diu. May Lord grant you all a blessed ahead. The sole purpose of symposium is based on the prayer. Om Sahanavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryan Karavavahe. Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's all come together to share the fruits of our effort.
And today's headlines is Goa's entire hotels are full for next 3 days. So in any case, we decided this function was supposed to be held on 12th May. This was almost, we were planning for 5 years to have it over there, but COVID decided to do something else. Our national conference got postponed to February to almost April, and there were only 20 days left for me to host it. So we decided to postpone it. Then we choose this longest weekend, and that's why we are here. But many of us, this is going live YouTube, courtesy our co-host, National Forensic Science University, who is collaborating with us in hosting it. Namin sir, thank you very much. You have done great favor for us, because many of our colleagues wanted to come who are here because of 75 years celebrations of India. Many could not come down because of administration, because they have to host flag hosting tomorrow. But their efforts, this is something, when I was supposed to do this 50 years celebrations, one thing comes in mind, what is to be done? Usually what we do is we take the old photographs, paste it, and we say this, we have remembered that. In photograph, you get what has happened on that day, but you can't get a feeling of it. And today, let me tell you, I am imagining same thing what J.M. Sharma has felt it 50 years back. For him, it was first conference, because Ashutosh sir has told us, and many of colleagues should know this, that it was 5 years effort drafting it and finally registering on 72. That we are celebrating, but there are a lot of effort, because J.M. Sharma came down in Goa in 69. So next 3 years he did it. Not only this association, Gomeco Society is one of the housing society has formed at times. He was real visionary. Now we took the chance. I discussed with my colleague Dr. Andre to host it over there. Then we thought over it, and one thing came that let's do it somewhere else. In fact, I have booked the date with our best auditorium, walking distance from here, Ravindra Bhavan, and I went our MS saying that I'm hosting this. I came down that day from I think it's somewhere around 10th of first or second of June. After coming, I went for the joining report and returned to it that we are hosting something like this. She said, why you don't do this in our own auditorium? And believe me, that time nothing was here. In 6 weeks times, or we floated it date just 8 weeks, 10 weeks. And this is the first function in this auditorium. This function, first functions after inauguration of this hospital, even we could not do it in a big way. This is the first academic conference hosted by GMC with the Department of DHS. And that was the vision of GM Sharma. Take it to the periphery and last persons. Typically sitting in medical colleges, it limits. That's what I did it. I bought best of the autopsy of the country in the department, came down here, and we have still one of the best mortuaries, which is at district levels. That is, mortuary doesn't work with the instruments and buildings. It requires a lot of human connect. I always say it's human connect. And you can see over here, and that's why I put up that photograph. We have only 3. But connect over here, we had us 300. I'm proud to say, registration we have to stop it with 300 dot because my sitting capacity is 280. I think it's one of the houseful any conference we are attending nationally. The visibility is, by now I think they can tell us it has gone in thousands. That's all because of connect of each other. Maybe Pratik over here, Vishal from both sides, Vijaya Services, our hospice, Jayesh, I can't see about it. There are people running behind it. None of my staff there, we are actually relaxing watching it. I came at, I dropped, Fimate sir had room problem, we solved it. I came at 1 o'clock over here. My security guards was checking anything was left over here. That is the human connect. That is the respect that doctor as a fraternity gets from hospital staff. What we are celebrating is their connect with us. Ashutosh told that as a lay person, he could not sleep for 2 years. Remember our PM attendants. They are not LLBs, but they are Munnawais. They know much better than us. They save our day. So let's celebration dedicate to them with what JM Sharma has seen the visions. Ashutosh, thank you very much. In fact, he has brought me the list of the founders, and believe me, all founders are not inside. They were founder members. So whatever our list is there, it is incomplete. He has brought from original archives. Thank you very much, sir. Welcome you all. My guests, all my friends, my teachers like Bhai Mauzo. Actually, both are in the literatures. Actually, I am Marathi supporters, he is Kokani supporters. But still, on the morals, we run together. Desmond sir, I can put the visuals over there of. This is something we did, 25th conference. Sabiko sir is there, Fimate sir is over here. And Barku sir is pointing. And actually, this 25th was one of the big, we set trend setting in the forensic conferences. This we did tribute to JM Sharma. Next. Now let's pay tributes to these both stalwarts. We saw the visions, and someone asked many times, people like, what IFM has done, Indian Academy has done. It has survived with 72 people to 2,000 people. It survived for 50 years. And Ashutosh sir can tell me the viability after 2000, how many actually, even I remember Bodke sir who helped me out reviving this because of many of ignorance. It was typically like national things, it was lapse, but Bodke sir's help, we could revive it in 2000 and and we will see that it will have not only 100, 2000 years life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madhu sir. Basically, as sir has rightly said, there are people right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So they are say to Himachal, this national integration. And let me tell you, sir, as your name says, Madhu jahan hai, wahan gyan pipasu makkhiyan zarur aayegi. A big round of applause. And he's a very dedicated person, let me tell you. Let me be honest. Yesterday there was some problem in arranging the room. Finally, he slept in the duty room where the dead bodies are kept. So this is commitment. This is how the leaders should be. So, and he has mentioned another important thing. Bhai Mauza is a very popular person, but he's supposed to be pro-Kokani person. Though now his literature is worldwide. So Kokani एक most एक खासियत पण असं sir. Kokani bhas. Bhas is language. And bhas in Kokani means promise. It's a promise. So to convey the promise of love and affection, Mai Mogachi asked his sir Parmalachi bhas. He bhas Machoila Manistamarian Pavitana Amka Khub Khos Bhakta. I request our youngsters, students to convey our language of love and affection to the dignitaries on the dais. Yeah. First, our chief guest, Bhai Mauzo. हम फटाफट नामा घेता तुम्ही begin यार. Sir. एक फूल माये मोगाचे परमळाचे. Our guest of honor, Sri Desmond D'Costa, Dr. Mukesh Yadav, Dr. Mukesh Yadav, Dr. Shailesh Mohite, Dr. Naveen Kumar Chaudhary, Sarape, Sudeep, Ninave, ज्यांचं नावच नाही ते निनावे, and our very own Dr. Madhu, प्यार से, अमर sir. Thank you very much. Thank you all young, budding and smiling students of academy. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lord, lead us from untruth to the everlasting truth, from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, from death to the immortality of our thoughts, words and actions. May peace prevail. With this prayer, my humbly request our chief guest, Sri Bhai Mauzo, to kindly light the traditional lamp to mark the inauguration of National Symposium on Death Deserves Dignity, the way we look at it. May I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly join hands with the chief guest to welcome the rays of light. And you be prepared to give a big round of applause. What's up? So this is very traditional thing. Jyot se jyot jalate chalo, prem ki ganga bahate chalo. So to share the joy of love, affection, compassion, contentment, we spread this message by lighting the traditional lamp. This lamp is also beginning of the light, beginning of our thoughts, beginning of new era, beginning of new perception, beginning of new divine feelings for the entire human race, not irrespective of whether our state or our country. So we commit ourselves. Yes, that's all. George says fire. I think we must give a nice photograph for this choice. अच्छा photograph के लिए. You know, there is something called Raj Hatta, Stri Hatta and Bal Hatta. So you have to always listen to the king, wife and the kids. And nowadays you have to listen to the media people also. So this is called Media Hatta. You have to fulfill that. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. So nice of you. Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine has come up with a unique philosophical and perhaps spiritual approach to the death. It reminds me of Kathopanishad, the story of Nachiketa, who goes to Yam Darbar and asks Lord Yam for the secret of death. Reluctantly, Yamraj conveys the crux of the life and death story. It's a very interesting story. I won't go into the depth of that. A lot of things will come in future as the day goes. But it recalls a very important prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. That is whole. From the whole, when whole is negated, what remains is again the whole. With these words of our holy prayer, I request Dr. Mukesh Yadav, President of Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine, to give us a bird's eye view on decoding the theme of death deserves dignity. Kyun, kaise, kab, kahan. Thank you very much, sir.
A very good morning to all. So on behalf of Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine, as a president, I welcome all the dignitaries on the dais, all the delegates sitting in this auditorium, registrar of the society with which we registered at this historical place, Sri Ashutosh ji, Dr. Deepa, who has given this wonderful auditorium, all the forensic medicine ex-president, Dr. L. Himate is there, Dr. Bharkur is there, Dr. Rakesh Goria is there, and other office bearers who spare their valuable time to be part of this historical event in the golden jubilee year of the Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Madhu for choosing this place as a historical connect where we started our journey 50 years ago and now completed 50 years along with this 75 years Amrit Mahotsav of our country, Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. It is very difficult to stand before you when we have order from our government to celebrate this function in your institution. I am principal of one of the medical college. I know how I get this leave for 2 days to stand before you. And the theme chosen by the organizing team, Dr. Madhu and whole team, death deserves dignity. Most of the time, we celebrate birth, but forget about the whole contribution, the whole journey of that person who contributed a lot in his capacity, in his wisdom, in his resources to bring India to this level in 75th year of Amrit Mahotsav. When we go through our Constitution of India, most of the law, they originated from the Constitution of India since we got our Constitution in 1950. One of the most important Article 21, deals with right to life with dignity. An Honorable Supreme Court and various High Court on many occasions, whenever the case brought to the notice of these courts, they expanded the scope of Article 21, which reads, right to life means starting from the birth, and dignity which extend to the death. Not only the process of death, where the concept of euthanasia come into picture, and Honorable Court has given a detailed verdict. Most of the good things, they are coming out of the adversities, and that adversity recently was COVID-19 crisis faced by the country. And those who are working in hospital, they are the best witness to that crisis. I want to share my experience as a principal in one of the government medical college, where during second wave, we witnessed in a small that district Banda in Chitrakoot Bundelkhand region, new medical college, almost 35 to 40 deaths per day. Can you imagine that emotional balance as shared by Dr. Ashutosh जी कि हम 5-10 मिनट मॉर्चरी में नहीं खड़े हो सकते थे, आप लोग अपनी जिंदगी वहां पे गुजारते हो, तो वो 30 से 35 डेथ और 40 डेथ किसी दिन होती थी, और ड्यू टू दैट फियर ऑफ कॉन्टैक्टिंग कोविड एंड लूजिंग देयर लाइफ was a great fear, where even those who given birth to their kids, those who are spare their whole life and resources to his family, they are not ready to touch the dead body for last rituals, which is supposed to be the great thing as part of the dignity. And we not only kept our mental balance, we saved the life, so many lives in ICU and by visiting the patient, but also help in cremation of those bodies as per the protocol of COVID-19. And there was no hue and cry of anything when their relatives are not ready to do the last rite, which is the, as per all the religious belief, मोक्ष तब मिलता है जब आपका कोई अपना उस बॉडी को क्रीमेट करता है. हिंदुओं में बड़ा बेटा होता है, वो करता है. एवरी रिलीजन हैव सम बिलीव कि लास्ट दैट राइट शुड बी परफॉर्म एज पर देयर बिलीफ, एज पर देयर रिलीजन, एज पर देयर कस्टम. एंड दीज केसेस वेंट टू द हाई कोर्ट and lastly in the Supreme Court of India, where government has announced compensation for 50 lakh for healthcare worker if they die during COVID-19, and to any person who died due to COVID, 50,000 rupees. Initially this was recommendation 4 lakh as a compensation to the next of the kin, but later on due to economic constraint it was reduced to 50,000 by the government of India. And what was the problem? Problem was to get the death certificate. And as you know, law is the least priority among Indians, including doctors. I am honestly admitting this shortcoming on our part. We are not respecting the law. We are not following the law. We feel honor in breaking the law. So death certificate, you remember, Death and Birth Registration Act 1969, which has clear-cut guidelines how to give birth certificate, how to give death certificate. There is now online with the digital technology generation of the certificate. But again, the problem was definition of death, and that to COVID-19 death. Ultimately, court, Supreme Court, highest apex court come in the picture and intervene in one of the public interest litigation. When you will call it a COVID-19 death, because after that certificate, they will get the 50,000 compensation. Now the issue was those who are involved in this COVID-19 crisis in treatment, they remember there are many persons who are RT-PCR negative. There are many persons who are not having any problem. Suddenly they develop breathlessness, and when they go to the CT scan, their CT scan score gone in favor of COVID-19. There are many persons who are not able to even get admitted to the hospital. They died there in home or wherever they are. Migrant laborer, even not reached their home, died in that where they are working. So So this problem will be solved ultimately by the Honorable Supreme Court. They have given a detailed direction to the Government of India and through Government of India to all the state government. This definition should be flexible enough to accommodate all the deaths which will be called COVID-19. So at least we should have something in form of financial help to those who have lost even their bread earner of that family. So ultimately government had 30 days from the time the symptom appear or died during that period, they will be called all COVID-19 death. And now again still the process of compensation is under process. And again that typical mentality of Indian corruption, even in this fake claims has been done. And ultimately out of more than I think 8,000 claims as per Supreme Court judgment, court has ultimately said we should go for the rapid survey of random survey of at least 5% cases, so that those who have claimed fake died due to something else and claiming as COVID-19 death, so they can be excluded. They should be punished as per the section 188 Indian Penal Code under the Disaster Management Act 2005. And ultimately this process is going on, and that is why again one court went into the Bombay High Court where there was a issue of place of cremation. There are limited spaces in the crematorium. Even in Mumbai there are only 3 crematorium and there is a waiting list of cremation. And one of the doctor body who was cremated at some other place as declared by that local authority, wife come forward and file a PIL in the Bombay High Court. No, my husband deserves at least last that ritual or cremation at that place which is fixed for our religion. She was, and that family was Christian. Similar cases with the Muslims, they come forward, there, because the direction was they should be cremated through electric crematorium, that means by burning, by fire. Muslims are not agreeing to do that. Again a case come to the High Court and court has given direction, no, we have to respect Article 21 of the Indian Constitution and we deserve dignity to that dead person. Most of the cases, Patna High Court, I remember one case from Patna High Court where after post-mortem examination from Patna Medical College, these bodies, especially of unclaimed and unidentified body, very big problem of our country, especially of these tourist places. That is why you are having 75 cold chambers to keep those bodies. Those bodies are thrown in Ganges water without following any religious ceremony. So that again appeared in one of the newspaper, court taken cognizance of that newspaper and given direction, no, even unidentified, unclaimed body, they deserve proper final last cremation or crematorium as per their wishes of the family, if known. If known it is a Muslim, that should be, and government is paying to the Home Department for this last dignified burial or ceremonial cremation. So these are the cases coming to the Supreme Court, and that is why I again congratulate Dr. Madhu for choosing this theme, death deserves dignity. Most of the cases which come to the mortuary, they are medico-legal cases, and whenever there is a medico-legal cases, they have to be done by post-mortem, gone through the process of post-mortem, and here comes role of forensic medicine or Indian Academy of Forensic Medicine. So until unless we are not knowing this legal position, even taking any sample, the first play by the student of this medical college very well depicted everything. You cannot take any sample, you cannot preserve any organ without following the legal protocol. And Organ Transplantation Act is there. You cannot remove kidney without consent. You cannot sell even kidney. You cannot donate blood, which is again a tissue as per the Drug Cosmetic Act. And these are the things which, as a human being, we are donating to others to save many lives. So with these words, because time is a constant, I conclude this presidential speech and congratulate all sitting here. The full hall is almost full to enjoy this whole one-day academic feast with all the great speakers and presenter, poster, and whoever presenting the paper. And in the last, Madhu has kept one national debate and symposium. So I request all of you should join. We will share our experience, which will enrich. And Dr. N.K. Agarwal sir, who has gone through the whole journey of forensic medicine by choice or by compulsion. So young generation is sitting here. This subject has best future. Need is to dedicate to yourself to that subject and understand the technicality of this. Every clinical subject is looking towards you for their problem, whether it is a violence, whether it is a medical ethics, or whether it is a violence against the doctor. You are the torch bearer, you are the guiding force to protect their life so that they have faith in serving the humanity in a better way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for excellent presentation. In fact, one thing I can only say, खुद को कर इतना बुलंद in forensic medicine. खुद को कर इतना बुलंद कि खुदा बंदे से पूछे, बोल तेरी रजा क्या है? So that should be the spirit. We should all go for the excellency, not for just mediocre. And sir has really given a very serious note, so just thoda sa lighter करने के लिए, because life and death is finally as in a Anand movie. Rajesh Khanna says, बहुमोशा है सब गोबर वाले के हाथ का खिलौना है, कौन कहाँ काबू बढ़ जाता है. तकलीफ तो सारी जिंदगी देती है, तकलीफ तो सारी जिंदगी देती है, मौत से क्या डर, चंद लम्हों का तो खेल है सारा, आफत तो जिंदगी है भाई, बरसों से रुलाए चले आते हैं. Thank you very much. So now I request Madhu sir to kindly help me. We are going for felicitation ceremony, a very important to convey of gratitude, to convey of feelings of gratitude towards the people whom we love, admire, respect. First, we would like to felicitate Mohan Toraskar. He has been one of the staff of Goa Medical College Forensic Medicine Department, who was right from beginning of the department, shuru se till he retired. So he has served for us more than many years. And always a very dedicated person, smiling person. Now you are seeing him at an old age, but he was very determined. He knew so many things. In fact, he knew half the postmortem than us. I should say more than 80%. Itna talented aapne. Mohan, yes, big round of applause for our very own Mohan Toraskar. And second felicitation goes to our former professor and head of Department of Forensic Medicine, Dr. Cipriano Sapego. Hey, Joseph! Hey, God, you know everything, man. You don't know what is he. आप जानते हैं क्या चीज है. सारे रुकनी नहीं चाहिए. That is right. Yes, sir. आज हम आपको इतना प्यार करते हैं, हम आपको इतना प्यार करते हैं, जितना हम कल करते थे. Okay, एक अच्छा फोटोग्राफ हो गया. Thank you very much. Madhu sir, would you like to add anything, or we are moving further? Madhu sir. That's one nice thing, you know. जो डूबना है तो इतने सुकून से डूबो. जो डूबना है तो इतने सुकून से डूबो कि आसपास की लहरों को पता भी न चले. Thank you very much. Madhu sir, anything you would like to add, or we are moving further? Nahi Nyatnena Sadrusham Pavitra Vidyate. Nothing is much holier than the knowledge. With this as our guiding spirit, this symposium will be taking a beautiful height for the intellectual deliberations. I request our guest of honor, member of Goa State Human Rights Commission, Sir Desmond DeCosta, to share his ideas on death with dignity.
Good morning, everybody. It gives me great pleasure to be amongst you all today. In fact, I told Dr. Madhu that I'm very honored to be amongst you all. And I remember always when we were earlier functioning as judges, we hardly had knowledge of medical science. And we always used to contact Dr. Sapeko, Dr. Madhu, Dr. Andre to guide us. And we used to always refer to them as the doctors of the dead. Virtually they are living doctors, but we used to refer to them doctors of the means that is what they were speaking for the dead. And we know in forensic science, we must salute you all, as Mr. Ashutosh Apte said in the outset, that even I had an opportunity when I was undergoing training as a judicial officer to be present for a post-mortem, but we couldn't be there for a few minutes. And I really salute you all for the strenuous efforts that you all do to help us to trace the truth. Now, death deserves dignity, and this subject has become all the more relevant, especially due to the COVID deaths. And as Dr. Yadav had pointed out, we had seen bodies flowing in Ganga all over the country, and that is where the Supreme Court, the National Human Rights Commission, the different state human rights commissions became active and alert that we must do something because the dead also have rights. So I have prepared a brief presentation. With your liberty of the President, I would like to take to it. The National Human Rights Commission and the State Human Rights Commissions are mandated by the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 to protect and promote the human rights of all human beings in the country. It is well accepted legal position that the right to life, fair treatment and dignity derived from Article 21 of the Constitution of India extends not only to the living persons but also to their dead bodies. This is very important, as Dr. Yadav also pointed out, that the Supreme Court of India has time and again said that even the dead have rights. Then, keeping in view the large number of deaths during the second phase of the COVID-19 pandemic and the challenges in management of the dead bodies, the National Human Rights Commission came out with the advisory for upholding the dignity and protecting the rights of the dead, dated 14 May 2021, so just about a year back. But this is very important because the importance given to the rights of the dead has been highlighted by the National Human Rights Commission. In the words of the National Human Rights Commission, there is no specific law in India. There is no specific law in India for protecting the rights of the dead. However, the courts have time and again reiterated to uphold the dignity and protect the rights of the dead. The Apex Court of India, in the landmark case of Parmanand Ketara vs. Union of India in 1989, recognized that the right to life, fair treatment and dignity extends not only to the living person but also to his dead body. These rights have been derived from Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Recognition of posthumous legal rights gives the dead significant moral standing within our legal system. The law strives to honor a deceased's wish and to protect his interest. In both natural or unnatural deaths, that is accidents, suicides, homicides, etc., it is the duty of the state to protect the rights of the deceased and prevent crime over the dead body. It is a requirement of the states, union territories, to prepare an SOP. Now we all know of SOPs being prepared after COVID, in consultation with all the stakeholders, so that the dignity of the dead is ensured and their rights are protected. The stakeholders include hospital authority administration, police, forensic medicine, personnel, district administration, municipal corporations, civil society groups, etc., as well as the citizens of the country. So that photograph down shows everybody is involved. It's a joint effort. Together we can. Now, again, as Dr. Yadav had highlighted, Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. This is like you can see the foundation, the basic structure of the Constitution consists of Article 21. It guarantees the right to life, embraces many aspects of a person's life, including right to dignity. By various judgments of the Supreme Court and High Courts, this right has been extended to dead persons also. The basic principles for upholding the dignity and protecting the rights of the dead. Number one, there should be no discrimination in treatment of the body in any form. To ensure that the dead body is properly preserved and handled irrespective of religion, caste, gender, etc. Number two, no physical exploitation. Any form of physical exploitation of the body of the dead violates the basic right of the deceased person. Because we have heard on social network many sales of organs of dead bodies, sales of different organs. And decent and timely burial cremation. The deceased person has the right to a decent and timely burial cremation. Then number four is to receive justice in case of death due to crime. The dead have the right to receive justice in cases of where death occurs due to crime. Again, to carry out a legal will, many people prior to their death make their will. What should be done? Their body should be donated, the body should be given for research. That has to be respected. The will, if any, left by the dead must be respected and honored. No defamation after death. The deceased person should not be defamed by any kind of statement or visible representation made or published intending to harm his or her reputation. No breach of privacy. Now we also know that privacy is one of the principles which is recognized as part of Article 21 by the Constitution of India. The deceased person also has a right of privacy, the right to control the dissemination of information about one's privacy. Then role and responsibility of stakeholders towards upholding the dignity and protecting the rights of the dead. As far as citizens are concerned, it is a duty of the citizen to inform after noticing any incident of death immediately to the nearest police station, because generally, like we have, doesn't concern me. We see people dying in accidents on the road, we just drive away. We don't feel touched about it. But here the Constitution recognizes that it is the duty of every citizen. You see that emergency ambulance services or the administrative legal authorities, whichever is feasible. Then again, citizens should not use the dead bodies as baits for pursuing their demands. Now we know that today with social networks spreading, with free internet being available everywhere, people make every use of opportunity to commercialize even a dead body. Hospital administration, I prepared a slide on it, but I would say that I greatly, as I said at the outset, I salute the hospital administrations, the forensic scientists, the forensic workers who really play a very great role in protecting the dignity of the dead. But I prepared this just to show that even the clothing of the dead body, at the end of my slides I will show you some decisions which the Goa Human Rights Commission, of which I am a member, had taken earlier some years back to respect the dead bodies. Clothing of the deceased should be collected, examined as well as preserved and sealed by the doctor conducting the autopsy, and should be sent for further examination at the concerned forensic science laboratory. It should be covered in special body bags for proper transportation. Again, storage of unclaimed bodies. The unclaimed bodies must be stored under safe conditions in the deep freezer to prevent any decay or damage to the dead bodies. These are all your forensic principles that you have followed. But just in the course of repetition, I am just highlighting them. Again, segregation and arrangement of dead body. Dr. Madhu pointed out that their morgue has got 72 highly scientific and highly well designed. Even Goa Medical College has got one of the best forensic departments. It must be ensured that the bodies are segregated based on gender and are kept in dignified manner by avoiding piling up. Releasing of dead bodies. The hospital administration should be explicitly prohibited from deliberately retaining any dead body on the account of pending bill payment. Many times we know that private medical colleges, in fact, hospitals, they don't release the body till bills are cleared. This is actually an offense. It is an insult to the dead. The hospitals must hand over the body of the family of the deceased or to the civic body if it is an unclaimed body in a dignified way. Licenses for the use of unclaimed bodies. Hospitals that utilize the unclaimed bodies for academic research and training of the medical students must have valid license for the same. Now, the next slide is on medical practitioners. Here also, I would like to say that this is not required, but I still feel that since there are many students of forensic science here, this is also would be important. Implementation of the ethical guidelines of ICMR. All the medical practitioners must follow the guidelines of the ICMR while dealing with the claimed as well as unclaimed dead bodies. Announcement of the death. After death, it must be officially pronounced, declared dead by a doctor without any delay. Now, forensic department and practitioners. Trained and qualified professionals. Only the trained and qualified professionals in forensic medicine should perform the autopsy procedure. And the use of inappropriate tools such as hammer, etc. should be avoided. These are guidelines which are given by NHRC because of what you can say practical reports which come in the press as well as which come to the notice of the NHRC as well as State Human Rights Commission that sometimes unethical practices are followed. Video filming and photography of post-mortem examination. In case of custodial death, this is very important, which has been done in fact in Goa Medical College as well as hospitals across the country. In case of custodial death, based on the judgment of the Supreme Court, where there is a requirement of post-mortem examination, NHRC guidelines for video filming and photography should be complied with accordingly. Though it takes time, but like now, as I said, we are living in the age of technology, we are living in the advanced age, 21st century, so we must use all these scientific tools for respecting the rights of the dead. Again, handing over the body to the family. It must be ensured that the external appearance of deceased and the incisions in the body must be hidden by clothes while handing over the body to the family relatives. Because otherwise, it is very ghastly pictures that they get, and very fearful. Now, number 4, timely post-mortem. It must be ensured that the post-mortem examination is done without any delay, so that funeral arrangements are not delayed. Now, of course, Dr. Yadav pointed out that in one day, 35 deaths with a few medical forensic doctors will be a very great challenge. Production of personal and genetic information. Genetic data obtained through DNA profiling must be handled carefully and confidentially, as the same may be required to trace the identity of the unclaimed dead bodies. For this, data banks should be properly maintained to store the genetic data and biological samples of the unclaimed bodies as per the existing laws. You know that DNA evidence is a very strong evidence, and many times, in fact, where dead bodies, several months after the dead bodies have been secured information, the facility should maintain confidentiality of clinical records and must have a mechanism for guarding information related to the deceased, especially for cases that are stigmatized and socially criticized, such as that of HIV and suicidal cases. Then maintaining privacy of premises. Post-mortem rooms should not come under the direct line of sight of the general public visitors. To ensure the same, provision of certain curtains, screens or buffer areas may be made in a post-mortem room. Now we know that there are CCTVs everywhere, but at least in a post-mortem room, I think that there are some restrictions. Removing physical infrastructural barriers. The facility must have infrastructure for delivery of assured services to meet the prescribed norms. All basic requirements must be available and maintained as per the Indian Public Health Standard Guidelines for district hospitals for management of the dead bodies. Sensitization of the staff. The mortuary administration may sensitize the staff from time to time to train them in handling of the dead body and deal with the attendance of the deceased with sensitivity. As far as the central and state governments are concerned, the NHRC also finds that many times a lot is lacking in the approach of the administration. Each state must maintain a district-wise digital data set of death cases. Digitization of data, again this is coming with the latest developments. A dynamic web portal for displaying data for both identified and unidentified bodies must be created, and it must be the responsibility of the state to ensure protection of such data. Digital confirmation of the death of a person must be simultaneously updated in all documents such as bank account, Aadhaar card, insurance, etc., wherever applicable, to prohibit the scope of any impersonation or illegal monetary transaction gains. Now, as far as local government, the local government and administration, maintenance of burial grounds, this is again what I will deal with at the end. Maintenance of burial grounds, crematoriums, it must be ensured by the state, local government, that the condition of crematoriums, burial grounds, electric crematoriums are properly maintained to keep them in effective working conditions. Encouraging electric cremation methods, environment-friendly cremation practices like the usage of electric crematoriums may be encouraged, which will also reduce the burden on the existing burial grounds crematoriums. Now, as far as the police are concerned, I think that the representatives of police will be present in a later session. But as this presentation will be with Dr. Madhu, I have told that we can share it with everybody who is coming for the conference. Because we find that the police have a very important role to play. And the police are the easiest to target, the easiest to attack. Because anything wrong, we immediately blame the police. But police have tremendous responsibility. But at the same time, the NHRC has highlighted that police also have their duties are streamlined. The police administration should ensure that there is no undue delay in calling a forensic team to the crime scene and in transferring the body of the deceased for post-mortem examination. Transfer the dead body to the hospital administration and submission of the complete inquest form should be done within the stipulated period of time. Handling of the dead body in cases where death occurs due to fire accidents, self-immolation, murders, death due to sexual offences, custodial deaths, suicides, road and other accidents, the body of the deceased must be covered, handled with respect, and sent to mortuary immediately for performing the autopsy procedures. Then, keeping the dead bodies in the mortuary, it may be ensured that the dead bodies do not remain in the mortuary for more than 72 hours. I think this is very difficult. Dr. Andre will probably have this experience. It's very difficult that dead bodies should not remain in the mortuary for more than 72 hours, but I think that they remain for many more months also. In case of unidentified body, the police should make serious efforts for its identification and disposal accordingly in a dignified manner. Video filming and photography, I already mentioned it earlier, of the post-mortem examination should be done by a person trained in forensic photography and videography. Now, as far as the prison is concerned, Mr. Ashutosh was the Inspector General of Prisons earlier. Custodial death. In case of a death inside prison, as per section 176(1)(a) CRPC 1973, the prison officials shall inform the judicial magistrate, because this is the first thing. The prison officials have to inform the judicial magistrate for judicial inquiry of the cause of death. The family of the deceased should also be informed simultaneously. In dignified treatment. In case of death in custody, the body must be covered and handled in a dignified manner while sending it to forensic department, hospital, without delay for performing autopsy procedures. Now, as far as the family is concerned, the family also has a very important role to play. Donation of the organs, tissues or cells. If the deceased had consented to the donation of his organs, tissues or cells, it should be honored and implemented accordingly. Death registration. The death of a person should be registered with the family members as soon as possible so as to avoid any kind of misuse of his identity for claiming any kind of benefit by the unauthorized person. Now, media are present in a big way today. Media also has a very, we know that today with social network, with Facebook, It's immediately like that gets flushed. But we violate the privacy of the individual, of the person who has died. Right to privacy and dignity. Media, including social media, must avoid explicit photographs or videos of dead bodies. This is very, very important, in fact. From being shown to the common public, and must use masking techniques wherever the dead body is shown, so as to ensure that the right to privacy and dignity of the deceased person is not compromised. No derogatory remarks. Personal remarks or comments which are derogatory in nature, hampering the dignity of a dead person, should also not be published. Again, lastly, the recommendations made by the Human Rights Commissions enact specific legislation. Now, this is for the Parliament and the state legislatures to enact specific legislation to protect the rights of the dead. One of the earlier slides I mentioned that there are hardly any laws protecting the rights of the dead. There is a need for specific legislation to be enacted for the purpose of upholding the dignity and protecting the rights of the dead. Again, setting up temporary crematoriums, because we saw that due to the challenges thrown up by COVID, there was inadequate space in the crematoriums as well as in the morgues. And due to a large number of COVID deaths and long queue of dead bodies seen at crematoriums, temporary arrangements should be made urgently in order to avoid undue delay in cremation. Then sensitization of the staff working in crematoriums, burial grounds and cemeteries. In order to ensure that dignity is upheld during handling of dead bodies, the cremation burial ground staff must be sensitized about proper handling of the dead body. They need to be provided necessary safety equipment and facilities so that they may perform their duty efficiently without any fear or risk. Performing last rites. Religious rituals that do not require touching of the dead body may be allowed, such as reading from the religious scripts, sprinkling holy water, etc. Then mass burial cremation. Mass burial should not be allowed to take place as it is in violation of the rights to dignity of the dead. Now, this is a subject which can be a day-long discussion itself, because we have seen that how mass burials have been taking place after COVID. Proper identification and information. Accurate identification of the dead body must be aimed by using different criteria for identification, and the state authorities must ensure proper handling of the information about the dead and missing persons in disasters. Then curbing arbitrary hike of ambulance charges. Again, this was fallout of the COVID-19. To curb arbitrary hike overcharging for transportation of dead bodies, the prices of the hearse ambulance services should be regulated so that people are not exploited and do not face difficulties in transportation of the dead bodies. Staff handling dead bodies must be protected and fairly paid. Since the staff at crematoriums, burial grounds, mortuaries are working round the clock during the wave of pandemic, they will be paid fair wages to compensate their hard work. They should be vaccinated on priority basis, keeping in view the risks they are exposed to. Now, the last few slides which I am giving are from orders which were passed by the Goa Human Rights Commission over the last few years. In one case, in November 2017, a case had been filed by a social activist, Dr. Anthony Rodriguez, to ensure that crematoriums and burial grounds are made available to all persons in the respective municipal and panchayat areas, so that basic human rights of the persons are protected. Even in a state like Goa, we know that Goa is a tourist state, and Goa is a state which is much sought after, especially like, as Dr. Madhu mentioned, these are holidays, weekend, long holidays. Rest of the country, again, COVID restrictions are coming back, masks are coming back, but Goa is free. You don't require COVID certificates to enter Goa. You can just walk into Goa, but that is like what happens, that is the pressure comes in the system. So in 2018 again, Goa Human Rights Commission had directed the Corporation of City of Panjim to allow burial of dead bodies of deceased Muslims from outside Panjim. Because in Panjim, which is the capital city of Goa, there was a burial ground which was only for those residing within the jurisdiction of the Panjim municipality. But Muslims who are outside, like Mercedes, Santa Cruz, those of you who are from Goa, they had no burial grounds in their own villages. So they were coming to Panjim, but the municipality had barred burials of people from outside. So then the Human Rights Commission came into the picture and directed to complete the required land acquisition process by having a special burial ground. And now those of us who are from Goa know that the Panjim crematorium is like one of the world-class crematoriums, which is got electric crematorium as well as got separate burial grounds for Hindus as well as Muslims. Then again in 2017, one of the women's organizations in Goa, the Bilateral Sad, had approached the Human Rights Commission because it was argued that the practice of disrobing deceased women. Now we know that when in crematoriums, to enable the quick burning, the clothes of the deceased are removed. Now, clothes of men also are removed, but as far as women are concerned, it becomes more sensitive because, as was observed by the Human Rights Commission, before cremation, removing the clothes violated the dignity of women and therefore violates the basic human rights of women. The Human Rights Commission observed disrobing of the deceased woman in the crematorium certainly amounts to violation of basic human rights of the women, which is required to be prevented by the concerned authorities by taking appropriate steps. Accordingly, the Commission recommended to the Director, Department of Urban Development, Municipal Administration, Panjim, Goa, to issue appropriate directions to the Corporation of City of Panjim and to all municipal bodies, and also to the Director of Panchayats, to ensure that the deceased woman is not disrobed in the crematorium before placing the body on the pyre. The Chief Secretary was also directed to ensure that the recommendations of the Commission are completed by the concerned authorities. With these few words, I hope that I have not been able to highlight.
Thank you very much for all the do's and don'ts, because he has been former judge, so he has given a very crystal clear picture. And it's always a subject close to his heart about judiciary and all these things. To put in little poetic words, Ghazal mein bandishein alfaz hi nahi kafi. Means when you just talk, it shouldn't just for the sake of talking. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. Ghazal mein bandishein alfaz hi nahi kafi. Ghazal is a song, alfaz is a word, bandish is a chain. Ghazal mein bandishein alfaz hi nahi kafi, jigar ka खून भी चाहिए कुछ असर के लिए. That's all we experienced just now. Thank you very much, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving to a very important and very dynamic talk. Before that, let me just call your attention to Adi Shankaracharya, what he says in Nirvana Ashtakam. He asks a very important question. Who am I? What is my identity? Am I just fire, air, water, sky, or Pancha Mahabhutas, or the combination? Or just I'm a combination of those five senses, as you know, vision, tasting, auditory, olfactory, and seeing, sensation of touch. And finally, he himself replies in a very beautiful concluding statement of that, and that is, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that divinity. I am the manifestation of divine things of the cosmos. So I am not just small thing. So please be aware of your huge magnitude Virat Roop. Accept yourself, love yourself, cherish yourself. And now as we go ahead, I would like to also tell you, there is another important statement, you know? Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi, I am that, I am that, I am that, I am that love, I am that uniform God, divinity, whatever you call it. So before I move towards the next speaker, I would like Dr. Shweta Nidhi to introduce our guest speaker, our very own, very loving, very affectionate Damodar Mazo.
Introduce such a towering stature, and yet his humble presence here marks the IAFM, and this reminds me of one stanza from Firak Gorakhpuri. He said, "You माना कि जिंदगी है 4 दिन की, you माना कि जिंदगी है 4 दिन की, बहुत होते हैं यारो 4 दिन भी." So this towering stature. So sir has been, if any one of you love reading Konkani novels, so sir, I'm sure that you will have this writer, our chief guest, as your favorite. Sir has been an example of virtue of humility, which is mentioned in the version 16.3 of Bhagavad Gita, which says that
you have to avoid the self-importance, which is na ati manita. That is, it is great pleasure to introduce a man of such a towering stature, yet humble presence. Sir has had highest literary honor in his name. He has been also bestowed with a Sahitya Academy Award in 1983 for his novel Karvelin and Vimala V. Pai Vishwa Konkani Sahitya Purashkar Award for his novel Tsunami Simon. And his collections of short stories, which is Teresa's Man and Other Stories from Goa, was nominated for the Frank O'Connor International Award in 2015. So such is the Sir's stature. And he has also served as a member of Executive Board, General Council, as well as Finance Committee of the Sahitya Academy. So please welcome our chief guest, soft-spoken, son of the soil, Shri Damodar alias Bhai Mauzo. Please welcome a round of applause.
It was very embarrassing to listen to my introduction to you. In simple words, I'm here before you as a writer. Friends, when my friend Dr. Madhu Mulkirekar invited me, I was a little bit surprised. How come I can fit in this gathering? Then he told me, I said, I don't know anything ABC of forensic medicine or anything about the medicine or this. But he assured me, you can speak anything but medicine. So that relieved me to some extent. Let me tell you, the topic of this session is philosophy of death. You may have an impression that I'm a philosopher. I'm going to philosophize death. No. I'm going to share with you, as a writer, whatever I have experienced in my short lifetime, and share with you my thoughts about death. Of course, death means also life. Friends, initially I was referred to by Madhu and also Dr. Rao. By the way, I'm very happy that he is doing the emceeing. To have a master of ceremony of this kind, he himself is a poet. I know him, Dr. Rao is a friend of mine. And it is something really special. And I am very happy that we are enjoying this seminar. Well, members of the dais and august members in the audience, I humbly come before you with a few thoughts. But before that, I would like to clarify. Madhu said he is a Marathi supporter and Bhai is a Konkani supporter. Similarly, my friend Dr. Rao also said is a pro-Konkani. Well, I have certain objections or apprehensions. See, I speak Konkani, my mother, Konkani is my mother tongue. How can I be pro-Konkani? I am Konkani. That's enough. I don't support any language. I am a Konkani. I am a lover of all languages on this earth. So with this few clarification, I thought it was necessary also. So let me go ahead. Thank you. Secondly, as we speak about death, I don't think we can start with talking about death unless we refer to our birth. Birth is the first step towards the journey one being takes towards the end, which is death. We all know that everything that has beginning has an end. Life and death life and death is a beginning and death, which itself is a cycle. The only thing in the case of birth and death is that there is no definite beginning or there is no definite end. But one thing is definite, that death is as natural as birth. Therefore, whether saints and sages, whether philosophers or scientists, all accept death as inevitable. Friends, I have seen death from close quarters. I'm surprised that I was not introduced, only literary introduction was given. Well, I have seen death from very close quarters. In 1991, I had a major heart attack. Again in 1997, then I had to undergo a surgery with 5 blocks, major blocks. And to add to it, I had undergone the surgical procedure on the operation table where oncosurgeon was performing his work. Then again, many other minors, I would call them minor, including macular hole surgery. But frankly, I wasn't scared of death at any point of time, nor I was eager to welcome them. I valued my life more than death. As a creative writer, I had a lot to accomplish. So when I was on the operation table and when I faced these difficulties, then I confronted my benefactor, the death, and I asked him if he can wait for a while until I complete my work, and I'm happy that he obliged me. Again, when I don't know how many of you know that I have a threat to my life from some fundamental elements. But in 1918, I was given the protection by the state. But frankly, when the threat came to my life, I was not scared. And probably those who have followed me probably will know. But my statement was then, I said, no bullet can kill my thoughts. Friends, now you know, by this time you know that I'm not going to talk anything about forensic medicines. I'm not going to talk about the procedures followed after death or before death. But let me share some of the anecdotes or some of my life experience with you. I recollect an anecdote about how Gautam Buddha changed his path when he was walking in a forest. Suddenly a snake, very poisonous snake, blocked his path. Gautam changed his path and chose to bypass him. The disciples who were following him were surprised. Was Gautam Buddha scared of death? Or was he scared of the snake bite? Realizing their apprehensions or their perception, Buddha told them, I am not scared of death, nor I am scared of the snake. But if I step over or step on the snake or I cross over with him, he might bite me. That he is doing his duty. I will not blame him. But if I don't change my path, it will be foolishness on my part. I don't want to be foolish, and that is why I chose to change the path. And again he said, I have a lot to accomplish, so therefore I want to live until I attain or achieve something in life. There is yet another story that I can be it can be an eye-opener to those who think an untimely death in the family is as a disaster, and some people even go to the extent of blaming the destiny for bringing this death in the family. You will probably remember the story when Gautam Buddha was approached by a woman whose daughter or child suddenly died. And she said, she came to Buddha and said, you have to revive this child. Unfortunately, she's dead now, but please revive the child. So Buddha promised her, I will do so. I will do what you desire, but on one condition. Please bring me a handful of mustard seeds from a family, wherever, a family wherein there is no death in the family. Then you bring me some mustard seeds and I'll revive the child. Poor mother, she went door to door all over the village and she could not find a single house where death had not happened. So she realized, that was the realization, that death is common to all. I think this is a lesson we also should remember. Well, I know certain people, of course, not my contemporary, but not very far in the history also. Have you ever heard the name of Acharya Dharmananda Kosambi? At least you have heard the name of D.D. Kosambi, the great grammarian, great historian and mathematician. His father, he lived here very close to Margao, about less than 20 kilometers away from here. But he went in search of knowledge. And Dharmananda Kosambi, in his last years, he was in Vardha, in Gandhi Ashram. One day he realized that he has achieved everything that he wanted. So after all this accomplishment, now it's time to die. So he started cryoprivation. I won't go in details because Mahatma Gandhi tried to resist him, but then he said, no, my work is done, so I'm going to embrace death. And he started cryoprivation, which is starving, fasting till death. So what a divine act it is. Just imagine how lovingly he embraced death. Not to go in a distant future, I can give an example of my friend, I would say my friend and my mentor, Dr. Pramod Dukle. I don't know if any Goans are here of my age, probably will remember him. He was a radiologist in Panjim. One day, he decided to embrace death. He called his family members and told them that in next 1.5 years or 2 years, I'm going to die. But you be prepared for it. Because not that he was eager to die, because he had many years to live, he could have. But then he realized what he is suffering from. He had motor neuron disease. And he told them when he's going to die, and finally then 2 days before, 1 day before the death, he even wrote his obituary. So these are the examples which I have seen, how people can face death. As for me, I'm least bothered to know after death what, because I'm sure that I'm going to live much longer than many of my contemporaries through my books, through my contribution to literature. I have taken yet another step for your knowledge. I will take this step which makes me very proud. I have pledged to donate my body. I am happy to state that my family members have wholeheartedly accepted my decision. And why I am specifically telling you, I know of one person who wanted to donate his eyes after death, and his family members were angry. He said, no, don't do it. If you donate your eyes after your death, then when you will be reborn, you will be blind. You will get rebirth with as a blind. So this is the blind faith. Unfortunately, these are the misgivings people have in their mind, particularly when they think of birth after death. In most Indian philosophies, life has continuity, but death does not. It is believed that there is something as afterlife. The concept of rebirth, punarjanma, prevails among Hindus as well as Buddhists, though many can be agnostic about it. This may be an assumption or some apprehension, but it is true that it has a deep influence on the psyche of mainly Indian people. It is a paradox that the fear of death makes people forego the enjoyment in life. People fear death because it is an end of life. Because we love life so dearly, we consider death as a big loss. Yes, death means a loss to many. But mass destructions of life can bring glory to some people. People get a feeling that they are victorious. Well, now that I am introduced to you as a storyteller, let me narrate a short story before I end my talk. And probably some of you are aware of it, but there is nothing wrong in reiterating it. Let me talk about the great war, Kalinga War, which was fought in Kalinga some 2,300 years back by Emperor Ashoka. The story is very absorbing, wherein the victorious ceremony, victory celebration overshadowed the death toll that took place after the war. Emperor Ashoka waged war, very hard war he fought against Kalinga. But he paid a very high price for the victory. He fought the prolonged war very hard that claimed a heavy death toll. Millions died and millions were wounded. The day Ashoka won the war, he was exuberant with the victory. However, what followed was disgusting. He had retired to his royal tent but could not get good sleep, simply because he could hear the moaning of the injured soldiers. He could hear the wailing of the kin of the dead, and he could hear the scavengers howling. He could not sleep. He came out of his tent and he found someone at a distance tending on the injured soldiers. He went closer. There was a monk giving water to the dying people, talking to them soothingly and cleaning their wounds. So the king went closer to him and asked him, "What are you doing here?" He did not stop what he was doing, but he told him, "O Emperor, you have fought this war. Are you happy that you are victorious? You have gained victory in this war. But have you won over any people in this country?" So winning a war or winning a land, being victorious on a land is not enough. You have to win over the people which you have failed. Do you know how many people are dead? How many people are widowed? How many children are left without parents? He was surprised. This monk can speak in this language to me, the emperor. And then further he asked him one question. "O Emperor, you have killed millions of people. Can you bring one dead to life? And the king realized the folly. He repented. At that moment, he fell on his knees and begged pardon of the monk and told him, and he embraced Buddhism. And you know the rest. He discontinued the violence. He fought against violence thereafter. The war, that incident, changed the heart of the emperor. But there was another thing that the monk told him, we are taught by our Lord Buddha one tenet, and the tenet is the only way to conquer the people is love. And that is precisely what I am doing here, he said. The tenet is true and relevant even today. What Mahabharata taught us was not a different story. The two world wars our last bygone century has seen have taught us the same lessons. Yet we aren't wiser. Today Russia is at war against Ukraine. Paradoxically, in our own real life, we are all concerned about death happening in the family, about the death of our loved ones, and about that, the death of our own being. But we are happy, or we are indifferent, we are apathetic to see thousands dying in wars. As a writer, I strongly feel that these mass killings can be overcome by spreading the message of love.
I can say revolutionary ideas or whatever it is. And he was offered the special security by the government of Goa. Nobody till date in any literature field we had such type of privilege. But he refused that. That's the type of people we have over here. Just to keep on the lighter mode, मेरे हाथ की लकीरें देखकर वो बोला, मेरी हाथ की लकीरें देखकर वो बोला, बड़ी उलझन से बोला कि तू मौत से नहीं मरेगा, किसी की याद में मरेगा. So dear friends, time and tide waits for nobody, but memories linger on. To keep the memories of these golden moments in the hearts of the dignitaries, may I request Dr. Mukesh Yadav to present a memento to our chief guest, Dr. Sri Damodar Mauza Bhai. Yes, a big round of applause, and also to our guest of honor, Sri Desmond D'Costa. May I call upon Dr. Deepa Korea Afonso to please come on the stage. Over there for all the cooperation and adding the beauty to this wonderful occasion. And next is Professor Dr. Andre Fernandez from Head of Department of Goa Medical College Forensic Division. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. May all be happy, may all achieve perfection and none suffer. With this prayer, we conclude the formal inauguration ceremony with a big round of applause. We thank our co-host, organizing committee for all their efforts and cooperation they have offered. National Forensic Science University, Goa Campus. Yes, मधु के बिना महक नहीं आती. Thank you very much for all the cooperation. Now we are moving ahead. I call upon Auditorium Madam and Shweta Madam to take the sessions further. Another important announcements. We are going to have parallel sessions. Forensic science students are requested to report to AV Hall. Forensic science students to report to the AV Hall. Sessions are going on there. And show will go on over here also. I call upon Gloretta and Shweta Madam to take over.
Next. This CME is not typical CME. Even recent inauguration it was part of sessions. And what is the part of sessions is chairpersons take note of it. Next session is on thematic what is ethical perspective of dignity life. It is supported by Ethics Center for the Ethics Mangalore. I call our chairperson Pawan Wankhede sir. Pawan is there. Also Dilesh Tumram sir. Please take the chair of seats of the chair. I invite the speakers for these sessions. Remember that this session has started from just before our formal inauguration.